Hey guys, coming back for Colony, Season 1, Episode 3, 98 seconds, and I'm sorry guys that it took me a while to review this episode. I wanted to review this last night, and I was in the middle of reviewing it, and then my camera app ended up crashing, which is the camera app I use, obviously, to, um, do my videos on, and that ended up crashing. So then I basically decided, alright, I'll just do it today. So I tried to do it again, and again it crashed, so let's hope that now when I do it, it doesn't crash. But anyways, guys, I was really looking forward to this episode. I've really been enjoying this show overall. It's really been impressing me, and I thought this was the strongest of the three. I really do. I think this was the strongest of the three, definitely. Something important to note about the show that I love is how it really is a family show. Like, it's about this family and how they'll do anything for each other. And while, of course, the raps are out there, at the end of the day, the show is all about the Bowmans and how they'll do anything for each other at any circumstance, and I think this episode showed that very, very well. But let's get into this episode because I really loved it, and like I said, definitely the strongest of the three, and especially for Sarah Wayne Callies. Oh my god, she was amazing in this episode, and Katie in general, I'm really loving as a character. So I love the way this episode starts. We see on day 341 of the occupation, an unidentified man finds himself biking to an abandoned building where he gives an address over to the loudspeaker, and he tells the story of this guy, Tom, and all of these terrible things that happened to his wife and daughter, and basically Tom is the man to put the bomb in the truck that started everything, and he basically cautions the public to not wait until his family is threatened, to not wait until your family is threatened, to take action right away. And then we realize that he is Geronimo, which of course Geronimo is the man that Will is looking for, and naturally he's tracked, but he's not found, and Bram is shown putting the tapes of each recording into a shoebox, and Bram definitely has a lot more to do here. He really explored his character more in this episode, and I really love seeing that, and a very good way to start the episode. We know that Geronimo is out there, we know what he's doing, and definitely, I'm pretty sure this season is going to be getting to Geronimo. You can definitely tell. So, Katie, meanwhile, as we know, she's now getting in deeper with the Resistance. She's no longer just providing them inside information. She's now going on missions, which is not really something that she knows what she's getting into. I mean, she thinks she has an idea, like, she's loading up guns, and of course she's a little hesitant, but she figures, alright, this is the Resistance, they know what they're doing, they've been around for a while, I shouldn't have a problem here. So basically, the mission is they're involving an attack on a supply truck headed for the green zone, and they stop the truck en route, but their mission isn't to loot supplies. They appear to be timing how long it takes for the drones and Homeland to respond to an emergency. So whatever their motives are, things are going wrong. Whether there are some locals that want in the action, and while Broussard tries to get them to back off, several redheads emerge from the back of the truck and gunfire is exchanged. Katie, in the meantime, like I said, is freaking out. She has no idea what's going on, and one member of the Resistance, Justin Kim, is shot, and Katie tries to help him, but unfortunately his wounds, his condition is too critical, and Broussard tells Katie that there's nothing she can do, and she executes Justin right then and there, and basically, that was insane when that happened, and obviously, this deeply affects Katie. This is clearly something she's never seen before, and meanwhile, the outsiders steal from the truck and drones begin to appear. Katie and her cohorts dug behind a dumpster. Katie has been manning 2 stopwatches, and Broussard orders her to stop the second. She shows it to him, and he says 98 seconds, and basically, we then see, which, very intense stuff here, and then we see the drones. They shoot the outsiders fleeing with supplies from the truck, and now we know why they're so terrified of the drones. We've had 2 times so far where Katie and Will got so close to getting to the drones, and now we know what that fear is. Now, I thought that the drones just took you away, but that's not what happens. They find you, they basically just kill you, and that's crazy to find out, but again, very good way of showing, not telling. I really like seeing that, and that's something that I think a lot of shows and movies forget how to do, and this show really knows how to do that. We're only finding out what things by what Will and Katie know, and I definitely really like that. So the Homeland agents arrive. Broussard tells Katie to stop clock 1, and they leave the scene, and Katie then arrives home to find Gracie working with her tutor, and Katie is visibly frazzled and hurries upstairs, and obviously this is deeply affecting her. This very much reminded me, guys, of Sicario. If you guys remember Emily Blunt's character in Sicario, what she had to go through, having to go on this mission that she's never um, had to do before, being in this apartment that she's never been in, very much reminded me of this. The difference is she never had to kill someone. She never actually had to get involved in the action. She was kind of just there witnessing all these things, while Katie physically had to execute Justin. And Will calls her name while she turns on the shower and strips down, struggling to wash blood off herself, which is very reminiscent to Sicario. If you guys remember, there was a scene where she tried to get the blood off herself just to hide what was going on. And Will enters the bathroom, and Katie just starts to have sex with him, basically to distract herself from what's going on. And let me just say, Sarah Wayne Callies here was fantastic. Like I said, I can't compliment her enough. I think she's really doing a great job. And I know there are some people that don't really like her because of her character on The Walking Dead, but I'm really loving her here. I really think she's doing a terrific job, and I'm really enjoying her character. But once they're done, Will is obviously wondering what the hell just happened. I mean, why did she just randomly have sex with him? She doesn't even give an explanation. She just begins to get dressed and says pretty much nothing. So he has no idea what's going on. And the worst part, of course, is that he doesn't even know that she's working, that, she's the enemy right now, that he's working for the enemy. So that she's working for the enemy. So Will then gets a call and winds up at the bloody scene that Katie just left, and Will figures out pretty quickly that this wasn't a food riot. The resistance did stop the truck, but plans went awry and it turned into a free-for-all. So the area is then littered with bodies, and Bo questions if the cell managed to carry off their dead, and Will takes a look and comes across Justin, and he doesn't have an ID tag, which indicates that somebody didn't want Homeland to use the body to help them in their investigation. Now, why they didn't do this, we don't really know, but Will then talks to Phyllis and informs her that this was a planned op that went bad, and the people responsible left a body behind. She orders him to get a picture of the face so she can track it down, and again, Phyllis is acting very shady in this episode, and I don't know if what she's doing is connected to the proxy or even the Raps, which we know that the Raps pretty much control everything. Although Snyder really is the one controlling everything, the Raps really are obviously the fear there. But as far as Phyllis goes, we still don't know what she's hiding, and I definitely feel that she just has this ulterior motive that we don't know about. So we see a little bit more of Bram, and as we know, Katie told Bram in the last episode that she was going to homeschool him and he wasn't going to go to school anymore, but it seems that he refused because he's still in school, and the curriculum appears to be teaching the youth of America how not only to adjust to the situation, but embrace the New World Order, find the good things about it, find a way that this is having a positive impact on you. But once class is dismissed, Bram stays behind to talk with his teacher. They have a shared interest about what's going on in the skies above LA, and in particular, something huge hovering in the Earth's lower orbit. And of course, Bram doesn't know about the Raps. In fact, I feel like they know, but no one really knows what's out there. And it's clear that Bram wants answers. And like I said, Bram is going to find out on its own very quickly what's going on with Katie, because if he is already getting curious about the Raps, then he's definitely going to find out what's going on with Katie. So he delivers a cassette tape of Geronimo's latest address to his teacher, who mentions he's been monitoring the sky and saw something up there, and he wants to investigate, and Bram, always eager to discover more, is more on board with this, and Bram is really, they're setting him up to be a very interesting character. So while he's hanging out later, he's interrupted by his girlfriend, Paya, and Paya, I don't know what she's hiding, but definitely there's something going on with her. She urgently drags him to what looks like an abandoned Department of Water and Power building in LA, which of course are resources that they don't really have right now, and she leads him down a secret hidden passageway. Really crazy stuff. I mean, it has like mazes and darkness. I mean, really crazy stuff going on there. So it turns out her cousin Pedro fell from a ladder and needs help, and what's up from where Pedro fell? The rest of the world. And Bram basically helps bike Paya's cousin back to where they're living, and Paya makes him promise that he won't tell anyone about their adventures. So that's very shady as to what's going on there. We don't really know what she's hiding, but there's definitely something that she is hiding, and I'm interested in seeing what's going on there. And I'm interested in if maybe Paya might know a bit more than Bram does, because it just seems like she's very knowledgeable and she really knows what's going on. So does Paya know more than Bram thinks? We'll have to see. Definitely there's something going on with her, though. So it doesn't take Homeland long to figure out who Justin is. Jennifer leads a raid on his home. Red Hats ransack Justin's room where they find a cipher, and Jennifer tells Will that they found a few of these before, and she believes that it's how members of the Resistance communicate, that this is just how they act. And The authorities then load up Justin's parents, preparing to take them to the factory, and obviously, we don't really see a lot of the factory in this episode, but of course, that's a big problem, and Will argues what happened wasn't her fault, and what I liked about this is in many ways that you could say, oh, this was just a mission of the week episode, but it's all connected to Will wanting to help these people. He doesn't want them to be sent to the factory. He wants them to, be justified for it, but Jennifer says that they were harboring a terrorist, and Justin committed a criminal act that resulted in the deaths of 22 people, which included 4 members of Homeland Security, and she points out that they are sending a message to the people standing around watching. They'll think twice before putting their own families at risk, and that's very interesting, and we found this out, that Justin is this terrorist, and that's why they basically had to kill him. But is that true? Was he really a terrorist? I mean, we don't really know if Jennifer's telling the truth here, because why would the resistance let in a terrorist? I just don't understand that. So one of the faces in the crowd is Broussard, and this I loved. Already, we're seeing Broussard connect with what's going on with Will and Bo, and definitely this is a red flag right here, because, of course, Will knows there's a leak, and Broussard's eventually going to find out what's going on at some point. Someone's going to find out. So he reports back to Quayle and lets him know that the occupation were already at Justin's house, and despite some setbacks, Quayle still considers the op a success. They got the intel they needed, and he does ask Broussard if Justin had anything that could compromise them, and Broussard insists that Justin was a good soldier. He knew protocol, and nevertheless, Quayle tells Broussard to have Katie find out what Homeland knows. So Will then returns home and finds a much calmer Katie. She's much calmer, and he doesn't really know what's going on. And when he questions about her earlier behavior, she does come up with this story, which could be true, but that's not the reason, of course, why she was overreacting. She says she found a baseball of Charlie's from a game when he hit a home run, and Katie says that she never knows when it's going to end, and that line I really love, because you don't know if she's just talking about finding their son, or if she's talking about when is all of this going to end? When's all this drama going to go away? When are the raps going to go away? Again, we don't know the reason why the raps are there. We don't know why any of this happened. We don't even know what the raps look like. So, and that's something I really love about the show, is that it's not about the raps. It's about how this family is dealing with this situation. I think they're really showing that very well here. So Katie apologized for complaining about Will taking the job, saying it was selfish of her, but Will admits that it's not what either of them wanted, and they basically don't have a choice, that they had to do this because they were forced into it. I mean, Will knows that if he would have said no, they would have been taken to the factory, and knowing what the factory does, obviously that's not something that anyone wants to happen. So he recounts the events of the day, telling her about Justin and finding evidence linking him to the resistance and how the Red Hats took his parents away. And not only did they lose their kid, and then they go to the factory, and Will feels very responsible. He feels like he could have prevented this from happening, and all so they can get their son back. And Will wants Katie to know that whenever she's going through, whatever she's going through, he's dealing with it too, and he just wants his wife to talk to him. But that is probably the one thing that scares her the most, because Katie loves Will so much that it just feels she can't tell him, because she knows how he would react. He would feel betrayed. He would be, I don't know how Will would really react. I mean, maybe he'd understand, but I'm not really sure. I mean, Will knowing what the Resistance is capable of, if he found out that Katie was involved, I don't really know what he'd do. Honestly, I don't, and I like that. But just seeing, what the Resistance can do and what they're capable of, again, Katie is forced to work with them, but it definitely is very questionable with what she's doing. So Katie then meets with Broussard. She's a bit delusioned with the Resistance, especially Broussard killing Justin, and he makes it clear that nobody ever gets taken or tortured, and he hopes that if he's ever in the same situation, Katie will do the same for him. And there's nothing pretty about armed conflict, as Katie is learning. Something I love about Broussard is that he's not really the man in charge here. Even though he's the one giving Katie orders, Quayle is the man in charge. He's the one that makes all the decisions, and Broussard just really can't say no. He can't say to Quayle, okay, I can't do that. So we don't really know how Broussard really feels about this, and I do feel we're eventually going to find out more about Broussard, because there's going to be an episode called Broussard where I hope we explore his character more. And I can understand if people are thinking, oh, his character isn't really a character right now, but we just don't really know what's going on and what his opinion is. In this world, though, your opinion doesn't really matter. That's just how it is. So Broussard tells Katie that he needs her to get her head back in the game because Will just hit Justin's house, and she tells him that she already knows, and Broussard wants the details, things like, did Justin's parents tell Homeland anything? Did they take anything from the house? But Katie just can't answer these questions. So Broussard wants her to go back to Will and find out. So basically, Phyllis has been doing some digging into Justin's past on her Rolodex. She flags some places of interest that she wants the team to look into, places that Justin hung out for one reason or another, and one of these places could lead them upstairs to the cell because they obviously want to know what's going on there. So Will and Bo then head to the community center, and Will questions Bo about how Phyllis acquires her intel, which I really like why Will asked this because, yeah, it's a big question. How is Phyllis getting all this information? He wants to know if the data on the Rolodex is new, but Bo says that it is from before the Raps, and Will is very interested in what role the Raps might play in Homeland and wonders if Phyllis has seen one, to which Bo responds that she might be one. Now, that is, he says this in a very casual way, and obviously this is a big deal. For all we know, she could be a Rap, and if that's true, that's very interesting. That's one of the reasons I think we're not seeing Raps, because for all we know, Snyder could be a Rap, and we don't really know what the Raps want. That's something I really do like here. We don't know what the Raps want. The fear of them is out there, but we don't really know what they want. I'm pretty sure this convinces me that there is definitely something that Phyllis is hiding, and no one really knows what's going on there. It's clear that I think everyone there is very suspicious of her, but no one really says anything because she could be a Rap, and they don't really know what Raps are going to do, and obviously that scares them, and I really like seeing that. So they break into the community center and realize that they've come to the right place. The walls have been soundproof for shooting drills, and suddenly Will and Bo find themselves under fire. Bo calls for backup, not one to wait around. Will goes after the shooters, but they get away. But Bo and Will don't walk away completely empty-handed. The duo of them finds a huge stash of guns. Very intense scene here. And Quayle and Broussard then discuss the latest turn of events. Half of their armament was in that community center. And by the way, guys, I forgot to say that Maddie is in this episode, but the whole thing with Maddie and George is not really here. We do get this one really great scene with Katie and Maddie, but I'll get into that when we get to the Yonk. I just wanted to point that out. So Quayle and Broussard discuss the latest turn of events. Half of their armament was in that community center, and Quayle thought that it would take them much longer for the Consurgency to get to this level, and now Will is proving to be a far bigger liability than an asset. He's not someone that they should go after. He might actually help them with this. And Quayle wants to shut him down. He thinks that he's very powerful, and Will is definitely very dangerous. He's not someone to ally with. He's someone that they really need to fear. But Broussard points out that the Resistance has never had anyone this deep inside before and doesn't necessarily agree with pissing that away. So Broussard's really, has a real big conflict here because at the same time, he kind of understands what Will is doing, but Quayle's saying, hey, we need to shut him down. So Quayle wants Broussard to make it clear to Katie that the value of the information she passes along to them has to outweigh the damage that Will is doing. So then we get this scene between Katie and Will, which I really like. Katie is actually happy. The Yonk is now opened. Everyone's really happy there. It's going really well, and Maddie says this is the happiest she's seen Katie in a very long time. It was a very sweet scene. I'm really enjoying the scenes between these two sisters. It just shows that in this world where there's a lot of violence and there aren't a lot of morals, these two still have each other, and that's something that this family has in general. They still have each other, and everything they're doing is for each other, and I really like seeing that. So Broussard then finds Katie at the Yonk preparing for the grand reopening. He tells her about the hit on their armory and that if Will had arrived a few hours earlier, he would have walked in on the whole cell. He warns her that if she can't provide more actionable intel, then Will is going to get a whole lot worse at his job. And basically, this is obviously a very big problem. So the Yonk opens and the spirits of the patrons are high, and really, even Will is there being a bartender, which I definitely like seeing. But then Snyder shows up. Snyder is back in this episode, and he shows up with Red Hats in tow. He takes the opportunity to make a speech about the progress being made in the LA block as law and order is restored. The Yonk is critical to the transitional authorities' long-term plan, so they will be keeping their eye on the bar to assure that everything moves ahead as smoothly as possible. And Katie immediately regrets their decision to, listen to Snyder. As much as she misses Charlie, she thinks the price that they've paid to possibly get him back is too high. So obviously, Katie's second thoughts about the Resistance is also fueling her change of heart about their entire arrangement. She doesn't know if this is the best idea. She's even questioning her loyalty to the Resistance. Does she really want to be involved with something like this? Someone that just kills when they have to. She doesn't really know if she wants to be a part of this, and it makes sense, obviously. She's very worried about this. But the thing about Snyder is we still don't know really what he wants to do, and as much as they want to question him, they kind of just have to go along with all this. So Katie suggested they use Will's ID to sneak into Santa Monica as a family, and Will says they could all wind up in the factory. He hates the job, but Snyder likes him, and Will's learning things that can help them, and basically what he's finding out is showing them that there's a very high crime rate, that they have to be prepared. Problem is, Will doesn't know that Katie is involved with most of this, and Holman has a whole lot of information from before the arrival, and Phyllis is a mastermind at putting it together, and if you can figure out how it works, they can use it to find Charlie. So I like how Will is trying to connect all of this to let's find Charlie, because that's obviously their one motive that they need. Problem is, he just doesn't know everything that Katie's hiding from him, and it's sad because, like I said, Katie really does care about Will. I just feel she loves him so much that she can't really tell him what she's doing. So Will has a drink with Bo and expresses concern that he's convinced that Jennifer could be the leak, and it makes sense, I think, because Jennifer was acting kind of shady, and Charlie's confident, basically, Basically, Bo is calling the chart that Jennifer wouldn't turn because while to them the job is a means to end, Jennifer is a true believer. They're just doing it because this is their job. Jennifer really believes that they're doing something good here and that there's a reason why they're doing this. She wouldn't just stray away. So I get what his answer is there. So Broussard arrives for the party. Katie tells him that she knows how they found the armory. Homeland has a huge database of information, the Rolodex, and a woman who knows how to manipulate it, and Broussard wants the woman's name, but Katie cuts a deal first. Will is never to be harmed, and Broussard gives his word, but then again, of course, we know that he's not really the one calling the shots. He can't really guarantee, and it's clear that Broussard, I think, really does want to help Katie. It's just that he really doesn't get to make all of these decisions, and that's how the episode ends. So overall, guys, I really love this episode. This was a very solid episode. Biggest question here, though, I really think is what is Phyllis hiding? I mean, it's clear that she, for all we know, could be a rap, and that is a real detriment to what's going on, and obviously what they're trying to fight there, because if Phyllis really is a rap, that is a slap in the face to everyone working for her. There's definitely something going on there. We'll have to see what's going to happen with that. Snyder, what is going on with Snyder? I mean, it's clear that Snyder is not going to give them what he wants. He has his own plan, and Snyder acts very casual, almost kind of funny about it, and it's honestly, I think, very menacing to see him just kind of laugh off about all this, how he controls everything, how he's the one manipulating everything, how he's the man that's controlling all this. It's really crazy because of the fact that we know that Snyder really doesn't give a damn about them. He doesn't give a damn about them, I think, and I definitely feel that he has a much bigger plan than we think he does. And I know I keep repeating that, but I really think that's true. Broussard. I definitely mentioned seeing how Broussard feels about all this because it seems like Broussard really doesn't get to have much of an opinion, and it really sucks because I think Broussard deep down really does want to help Katie. He just can't really do anything because that's not what Quayle is telling him to do. Quayle is definitely going to make things really bad for Will and Katie. I think another thing that's going to come up is Quayle's eventually going to think, why does Katie care so much about Will? Why doesn't she want him harmed? What's going to happen about that? They don't know that Will and Katie are married. It's clear that they don't know this, and this is something that Katie is definitely going to tell them at some point. It's definitely going to come up, and that's something else I find very interesting. Not just the fact that Will doesn't know about this, it's that nobody at her job knows that she's married. Nobody knows that, and that's clearly something that she wants to keep hidden, and I hope that she does, but at this point, I don't know if that's really going to work. Is Will going to find a way to put this together? What is going on with the Raps? We still don't really know what's going on there. We do have some more ideas of what the drones are doing. We know the drones will basically just kill you at any minute, which is crazy that they're doing that. We'll have to see what's going on there. But definitely very interesting stuff as to what's going on there, who Phyllis is. I really hope that they get more into that because I really do want to find out what's going on there. Let's talk about Bram. Bram clearly really wants to find out what's going on. He wants answers right away, and first of all, what is Paya hiding from him? Like I said, I really feel that Paya knows a lot more, and we don't really know what exactly she does know yet and what she doesn't know, so I'm interested in seeing if we really do explore that more, and the fact that she's telling Bram, don't tell anyone about this, is very questionable as to what's going on there, so we'll have to see. Also, of course, him and his teacher trying to find out what's going up on in the sky. But the thing I think that's most important in this is if Bram can really already kind of put things together and realize something's not right here, he's definitely going to think about that when it comes to Katie's, what Katie said to him. Katie was very vague about what she said. We're just doing this to put on a bright face for your sister. Bram knows there's more to it. I think Bram definitely has in the back of his head that there's something that's not adding up here correctly. He knows that Katie is probably hiding something from him. He doesn't know what it is yet, but I definitely feel that Bram doesn't fully believe what they're telling him, that he knows that there's something else going on. He just doesn't really know what it is yet, and we'll have to see what that is. Katie really does seem to be questioning, though, her, work that she's doing with the Resistance, and I really feel at some point Katie might honestly stray away, because seeing what they're doing, obviously she doesn't really get a say, but I don't really feels comfortable doing that. I mean, now that the Yonk is open, she obviously needs to do this for her family because she could be taken to the factory, but I feel like Katie really is contemplating, should I stay here, because it's really not something that she feels she's cut out for or that she can handle. I mean, clearly we saw how she acted in that attack. I don't really think she can handle this, and I wouldn't be surprised if she does eventually stray away. But overall, guys, I am loving the show. I'm really getting into it. I think episode by episode, it's getting more and more interesting. Let me know what you guys saw this episode. I thought this was the best episode of the season, definitely. I can't wait for next week's episode, and we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for, I think, either a movie review or for the series premiere of Recovery Road. Yes, I will be reviewing that. I know I didn't get a chance to review it, but I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.